Welcome back to Jackass Politics, where we take the week's political circus, break it down, and roast the clowns. I'm Adam.
And I'm Ian. Let's kick it off with the biggest shit show of the week, Trump's executive order to freeze federal funding. It was unconstitutional, chaotic, and as well planned as a frat party gone wrong.
Yeah, Medicaid portals literally went down on Tuesday. Schools panicked, and the White House tried to play it cool, saying, no, everything's fine, while basically lighting everything on fire.
And then came the press conference, Jim. The claim that we spent $50 million on condoms for Gaza. $1 billion condoms. I mean, what the hell, Adam? Do they think we're preparing for some kind of population control Hunger Games over there?
Well, here's the kicker. They weren't even talking about Gaza in Palestine. It was a Gaza province in Mozambique, because nothing screams competent governments like confusing continents.
Look, if they don't want to fund public health in Africa, just say that. But instead, they're trying to lie their way out of looking cheap and dumb.
And don't even get me started on RFK Jr.'s Senate confirmation hearing. This guy said Medicaid is fully funded by the federal government, which just is wrong. States help fund it too. How do you not know that when you're applying to run the public health?
And then he called Medicaid a program with high premiums and deductibles. Dude, Medicaid is basically free. You're out here talking like it's private insurance plan.
Oh, and let's not forget his casual admission that he probably called Lyme disease a military bioweapon. Like, yeah, dude, that's the guy we want in charge of public health. Someone who watches too much Discovery Channel.
And when they asked him about the community health clinics and ER mandates, he just stared at them like they were speaking Greek. My dude, that's literally your job if you get confirmed.
So, all right, that's the appetizer. Let's jump into some of the best takes from Twitter this week.
Let's do it.
All right, Ian, let's see Twitter outdid itself this week. So first we have from Jacob, and I don't want to even try to pronounce his last name because I'm going to mess it up.
I guess Jacob
Big scoop. Buttigieg. We'll go with that. Sure. Big scoop. We have the blueprint that House Republican leadership presented for their reconciliation bill at the Miami retreat. Spoiler alert, for all the talks of spending cuts, it doesn't actually cut spending. Cutting spending while not actually cutting anything, Republicans really are the masters of fate dieting.
Exactly. It's like buying a treadmill and then using it as a coat rack. You didn't fix the problem. You just wasted more money.
Yeah. So hopefully you'll be able to include the screenshot here of the Times. I think it came from the Washington Post. It was coming from. But essentially, they are going to cut some spending, but spend way more amounts by millions of dollars. I mean, this is just the Republican playbook, is it not?
I mean, it sounds right. And honestly, as long as they can come back in a couple of years and be like, hey, we did cut spending in XYZ place, but then not ever bring up that they increased spending elsewhere, that's going to work with some subset of the voting population.
And so I guess the kind of play that they're looking to do is also to extend the Trump tax cuts, right? Yeah. Which is also going to make it where people like you and myself are going to pay massively more in taxes, and it's going to be offset by giving tax cuts to the rich.
Yeah.
It's just absolute bullshit, and it's just not grounded in any type of real economic policy.
It is a literal retread of what they did the first time. It's a retread of Reaganomics. This has been proven over and over again that it does not work. It does not help. I just don't understand how people... It is 2025, and we are still trying to force trickle-down economics to people.
And we need the giant headline here. Trickle-down economics after 50 years still does not work. We're going to keep trying, apparently.
It's ridiculous. We're just going to beat our heads against the wall until that actually sinks in.
All right, well, you kick us off with the next tweet.
All right, so tweet number 2 says, breaking, Donald J. Trump has signed an executive order requiring that whenever an agency promulgates a new rule, regulation, or guidance, it must identify at least 10 existing rules, regulation, or guidance documents to be repealed.
Yeah, because the destroy 10 things to build one approach, it's like a toddler playing with blocks. but the toddler is running the country.
Right. Trump's treating governance like it's monopoly. You can't build a new hotel unless you tear down your neighbor's house first.
This has Elon written all over it,
Yeah.
though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is like, it just sounds good, right? There's no data behind it. There's no information or anything that's backing this. It just sounds good. Oh, if you want one new thing, you've got to cut 10 other things. Like just some shit he made up off the top of his head.
I mean, you run a business.
Yeah.
If you hired a consultant to come in and tell you how to run a better business, and then they pitched you this idea, you would literally kick the shit out of them out of there so fast that
I mean, I would not listen to another word that they said. I mean, at that point, I'm just like, wow, I just wasted XYZ amount of time because this person is a fucking buffoon, and this is something that they established before they even walked through my doors. It's seriously, I mean, to me, that's exactly what it is. That's typical Elon Musk, thinking this sounds cool or this like, and it's gonna play. Like, there's some people that this is gonna be popular with. It's so fucking absurd.
Everything sounds great when you're an idiot, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, that's 100%.
If you don't know how anything works, everything sounds amazing.
I don't remember what dumbass thing that they were doing, but I saw something on Twitter that was pretty close to the same, and it was like, yeah, this would sound really awesome if you are uneducated and an idiot. And I was like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. Next, we got Newswires. Elon Musk's team has gained access to the Treasury Department payment systems. So we've handed over the keys to the federal checkbook to the guy who thought buying Twitter was a good idea. Wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? The next thing you know, Social Security checks will all come with a subscription fee.
I mean, just even the news today about all him getting into the U.S. aid over the weekend, and just going line by line with 18 and 19-year-old former interns.
Yeah.
I mean, they got rid of a program that was designed that if any of our embassy people needed immediately evacs, they just stopped paying on it, and the app doesn't work right now.
Yeah.
Huge national security risk. They stopped paying guards in a foreign country that were guarding ISIS prisoners. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like,
I mean, it is, and we've talked about this, and it's been on Twitter, but this is so much overreach from somebody like Elon Musk. He does not have the authority to do these things. Like, do we even know? Does he have actual clearance to even have access to a lot of the things that he's I mean, we try to kind of laugh about it and joke about it, but this is a very, very dangerous and very serious thing because Elon Musk does not think about this stuff. His sole thing that he wants to put forward in this sort of Doge venture of his is just cutting everything everywhere. And it's like that movie, cut everything everywhere all at once and give it no thought whatsoever. It's dangerous. It's bad. This is very scary to me. This is very frightening.
It's a constitutional crisis. We need to call it what it is, right? I think finally the Dems are getting it, and they started going to USAID and trying to even get access themselves.
Yep.
We have an attorney that came out, some random district attorney that's like, hey, if you interfere with this, you could break some laws. Yep. What fucking laws are they breaking by not? Because let's not forget, like, they took Doge and they renamed the digital, I think it was like the digital government group or something like that. So like it was a former department that did digital.
Yeah.
But it definitely does not have this level of authority. They've came out and said that Elon is now some kind of special government.
Yeah.
But so if he is now a government employee, he legally cannot profit off of the government.
No.
So that means that you better stop taking all these subsidies that we're giving you because now you're profiting off of the government.
Yep.
So he's going to have to pick one of the two, or then again, I keep saying this shit, but it's not like who the fuck's going to stop him? That's the problem with this right now, right?
That's the big thing is like who's going to stop him, and he's betting on that as well. He is literally betting. I mean, we saw that with the campaign finance violations that he had. Offering up $1 million, which is basically paying people to try to go vote, and that just disappeared. That's just gone now. I mean, nobody's talking about that anymore. It just he's betting that his position, his power, and his money is enough that he can basically circumvent our Constitution and just do whatever the hell he wants.
But it goes even further than that, right? Because, Trump, with his executive order, the freeze funding that we talked about in our opener, a judge legally put a hold on that.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I revoked the executive order, which we also talked about in the last episode. But it's still fucking frozen right now. They are literally doing it, and there is no constitutional authority for this.
No.
So I just don't understand, why is Congress just ceding all this authority to them? Like, if I was a Republican, there's literally no way in hell I would want to cede all this authority.
No.
Like, they are crowning a fucking king.
Yeah. What's your job then? Why are you even there other than to tell Donald Trump, yes, do whatever the fuck you want? Like, if you're in Congress, fight back. Fight for what you got the Congress to do. Exactly. He is not going to be here. You still might in a couple of years if you do something. If you don't, then this is bad. I mean, this is really fucking bad.
All right. Well, while you read the next tweet, because I'm pissed off enough now.
Yeah, I'm pretty upset. Let me see if I can read. Okay. All right, this one's from Newswire. Canada has detailed retaliation plan to U.S. tariffs that will seek to hurt Republican states the most. That's from the New York Times.
So tariffs are like punching yourself in the face to win a fight. Canada knows this, so they're targeting key states like Michigan, Texas, and Ohio. Think cars, crude oil, and energy. It's strategic and it stinks.
Right. Michigan depends on Canadian auto exports. Texas is hooked on their crude oil, and Ohio's auto industry is so tied to Ontario, you'd think they were secretly part of Canada.
So honestly, tariffs hurt everyone. But if Republicans want to play dumb games, Canada's out here handing them dumb prizes. Now, unfortunately, when we picked this tweet, we didn't know that Trump was going to do typical Trump shit that he did in the first one, that the day that everything starts getting to be bad news, he goes out and announces that, hey, we made a deal with these countries. And then it turns out to be shit that was already happening.
Yeah.
So,
and I think in sort of sitting back now and realizing, okay, both Canada and Mexico have agreed to send 10,000 troops or military individuals to the border to help secure the border. There's, stopping the flow of fentanyl, something Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum was already starting to do a very good job of. He talks about tariffs, and we still don't really know what the tariffs are designed for. Is it to stop fentanyl, or is it to is he upset about the trade imbalance between the countries? Which is it? Because if it's just to stop fentanyl from coming in or stop gangs or whatever, well, then you haven't solved the trade imbalance. You just capitulated immediately in something they were basically have already committed to doing in the past, have done several times, once under Trump, once under Biden, and then now again. Like, it seems like you could have just, like, this is like the epitome of this could have been an email, right? Like, you could have just sent them an email and been like, hey, we need to both be working to secure the border. And my guess is the answer would have been, okay, yeah, sure.
I mean, Trump is supposed to be the deal maker, right? He's supposed to have the art of the deal.
Yep.
Like, why would you immediately go to a sledgehammer to accomplish something that could have been handled with a phone call?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If you're concerned with these things, fine. I don't want fucking fentanyl in the country either.
No,
I don't want illegals running around. It's fun. Like,
absolutely.
You could have handled us so much easier.
Yeah.
And so much better, and gotten even support probably from Democrats if you would have just picked up the fucking phone.
You would have gotten yourself a guaranteed win from both sides.
And now it's just a shit show.
Yeah.
And you've pissed off allies. And eventually this is going to have an effect. Right? Yes. These are allies that we have. They are our own borders, and they're going to get tired of saying, hey, they're going to, we can't be a dependable trade partner with them anymore.
Right.
And if we keep on, threatening, that's going to end. Right.
Yeah. And you're still talking about 10% tariffs on top of what we've already got with China. He's talking about 10% in the EU as well. Okay, they can't just send troops to their borders and solve this problem. This is an actual trade issue.
Right.
And again, it's worth mentioning that this has only caused a delay of 30 days. That the tariffs might still go into place after 30 days, so that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. But it just, like you said, art of the deal. This guy's supposed to be a master negotiator. He just gave all his cards away right up front and just served to basically piss off two of our closest, proximity, closest allies.
And he says that Canada and Mexico have been ripping us off. Well, if that's the case, who negotiated those fucking deals the first time?
You did.
Right? So did you negotiate bad deals in 2017?
Yeah.
Or is it that these deals are just fine and you're just fucking just causing hell for fucking nothing?
It's like one or the other.
It's the stupidest fucking argument.
It's either you negotiated a bad deal, or in this instance, when you put the tariffs in that don't even address the deal that you said is a problem. Like, what is it? What's going on? There's no clarification for what he actually wants to do. He just likes the fucking word tariff.
Yeah, it's his, it's his hammer, right?
Yeah.
Like everything's a nail right now, and that the tariffs are the solution.
Yep.
But it gets even dumber, Ian, the more that you fucking think about it. Because the first Trump presidency, one of the big things that we talked about was the pipeline from Canada, right? And how that they wanted that fucking pipeline. Do we not want fucking oil or not? Like, do you want it? Because apparently we didn't need it. So were you lying then or are you lying now?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then further on top of that, I don't really think that people are trying to come way over the border. As I understand it, most of the Canadian border is super wide open. Like you can just literally walk across. It's like force. Yeah. Right. Because, and it's like that because they're not wanting to come over here. They have free fucking health care, right?
Yeah.
It's not better off here than there like it is in Mexico, right? Like that's understandable that people are wanting to come here from Mexico. But they got it pretty decent up there.
Yeah. Just cold as hell.
Yeah. But they're not sneaking across the border
in search of a better life. No, that's not happening from Canada. That's ridiculous.
And I think I read that they got like 45 pounds of fentanyl total that came in last year through Canada. That's like 1 pound or 1 bag of fertilizer, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's fucking nothing in the grand scheme of things. So.
Right. And yeah, if you can stop it, that's fine. But that's not what's going on here. We know that. I mean, it's just like you said, he fucking loves the word tariff, and it's literally any way the wind blows, throw a tariff at it. He thinks that's the solution.
The final thought on this is he now wants to fund the government through tariffs. So if we made deals and now the tariffs aren't on,
where's the
is
money?
It not a bad, it was this grand, amazing idea to have all these fucking tariffs pay for anything. Is that now not a good idea?
Aren't they going to raise $1 trillion in tariffs? Wasn't that the thing we talked about a couple episodes ago?
Our government is going to be, I think the spending bill that they're talking about in the first tweet is going to be somewhere between like $4 and $5 trillion.
Yeah.
So there's just absolutely no way in hell that we're going to fund the whole government that way. But now it seems like that you tried to implement these on day one and then you immediately repealed them. So are we going to fund the government through tariffs or not? I just want to fucking know.
We don't know. I don't think they know. That's it. They just don't know.
I'm just really mad today at all of this.
It's a rough one. It's a rough one, man.
We're trying to have fun with you guys, but
it's hard right now.
I'm real fucking angry about all of this.
It's been a testy week.
All right, let's. You want to read the next one?
All right, last one. This is from Melissa Nan Burke. All right, so news. Pete Buttigieg has ruled out running for Michigan governor and is very seriously focused on a potential run for U.S. Senate.
So smart move, Pete. Michigan needs someone who can actually win a Senate race. And honestly, who better than the guy who fixed potholes while Republicans were busy sabotaging infrastructure?
Yeah, we know Pete's got the chops for this. If he gets to the Senate, we might finally see someone who can talk policy and actually deliver results.
The only thing about this is that today, I think I get her name right, Megan Hunt, senator, she's a state senator there. She has a pretty good following. I need to make sure I'm getting that one right. But she supposedly is jumping into the race for the Senate. Let me look this up. This is my first lookup. I haven't done this on the whole show. I'm calling it in.
With the DNC, right?
Yes. Or no, that was Mallory. That was. Let me see here. So
damn, I thought she did too.
Yeah, so I may be getting this wrong. We might have me being wrong. Mallory McMurrow. Yes, I was wrong. I'm glad I looked this up. So Mallory McMurrow is a member of the Michigan Senate.
Yeah.
She did speak. Yes. Okay. Glad we looked this up. Got to get it right.
Yes.
So she did speak at the DNC. She's the one that held up the giant book.
Yeah, that's right.
Of
the Giant Project 2025 book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she is talking about entering in to the Senate race here. She might give him a run for his money.
That's great. Honestly, that's great. And if she can prove that she's the better candidate, then fantastic. Obviously Pete Buttigieg is a very, very talented speaker, a very talented politician. He's very sharp. He is probably one of the best messengers in the party. I think the only thing we're waiting to see, as you and I have kind of talked about in our chats, is can he win a state level election? Can he win at that high level election? I would think he can, but that's something that will.
He's not from Michigan, though.
Yeah, right. And like you said, he kind of has that little bit of an outsider perspective from people in Michigan. It'll be a challenge. It'll be a challenge for sure.
Hopefully they figure it out. We need somebody to run for governor.
Yeah,
maybe. Hopefully, sure. I don't know. It's but then again, I think Jocelyn. Is it Jocelyn Benson, or she's running in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I think that one's okay. I get those M states kind of confused.
Yeah,
the northern M states,
all the MI states.
So
yeah, I mean, we talked about it before, and I called it wrong. I kind of felt like Pete would be, a good one to run for governor, while Gretchen came over to the Senate. But it appears that Gretchen is planning on throwing her hat into the ring for president.
Yeah. So actually Jocelyn Benson is Michigan.
Okay.
Second look up today. I'm horrible with names. If y'all will find this out. I am horrible pronouncing names and remembering names, which is really bad for a politician. I know.
He's gonna hop on here one time and be like, "Hey, how you doing, Jeff?" And be like, but yeah, that's interesting. That's some talent in that state right now. That's a lot of.
They got it going on for sure.
Definitely.
All right, so let's move on to our Fix It in 5. So our Fix It in 5 is based on a tweet that we talked about, I believe, last week, in that Democrats have all-time low approval ratings. I think we have a 31%. I saw another one today. It's up to 38%. So maybe it was a little bit of an improvement.
We're getting there.
But, it's at an all-time low. And our ratings are in the basement. So let's see what we can do to fix it.
Step 1, stop speaking in policy wonk language. Nobody wants to hear bipartisan subcommittee appropriations. Just say we're fixing your fucking roads.
Right. I think we had in the group chat a really long discussion this past week about this. Just saying things like a regular person fucking says it, right?
And we got a little bit of a
disconnect. We don't need to talk about the unhoused or whatever. Like, just say homeless. People understand homeless people.
Yeah, we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
People are tired of the double speak. Saying the unhoused people. It just sounds weird. Like, I get why they want to do it. They don't want to offend. But at the end of the day, man, we got to talk to the public. And if we're not winning elections, we can't help those people, right?
No.
What's the greater good that we can do here, right?
Yeah. Just talk to people like they're people.
Just talk to people. So step 2, actually show up for the working class people. Fight for better wages, affordable housing, and health care that doesn't bankrupt people. It's not rocket science.
I mean, this one is, this one I just want to beat this one into their heads over and over. And we saw a tweet, I think it was, oh man, who sent the tweet out about, about Democrats going to kitchen table policies and then abandoning them when the message doesn't appear to be getting through. Crap, I can't remember who sent that tweet. Anyway,
I think it was just a rando, honestly.
yeah, we started talking about that, and I had a little bit of a disagreement with that, in that I think it's an oversimplification, but with that point being the point in and of itself, yes, focus on the populist policies. You want voters to vote for you, give them something, give them a reason to vote for you, and those like wages, affordable housing, and healthcare. That is your ticket.
Let's not give them just something to vote against. Let's get them to have something to vote for.
Yep. Couple giving working class voters with something, with good messaging that speaks to them in a concise manner, and you're on track so far. So step 3, get younger voices in leadership. Sorry, but the average voter doesn't relate to an 80-year-old senator who talks about the good old days.
I think the Jerry Connolly, we go back to that, right?
Yeah.
Him being oversight right now, he's not cutting the job.
No.
With all the bullshit that we just were getting mad about, I would love to see somebody like AOC. I mean, she's been pretty good on this.
Sure.
But her being on oversight and going out and really explaining to the people every day. She has that energy. He does not.
He can't. No.
I mean, I think he looked purple the other day, like in his picture. Like, it's not healthy.
I mean, it's not good.
Hang it up, bro.
Yeah, we got to have somebody like AOC out there in these kind of, big time crisis moments like the week that we fucking had here, on the horn over and over in that position. It would just be perfect. And look, David Hogg got elected to be vice chair of DNC. A little bit of maybe an upset or a kind of maybe a little unexpected there. Ken Martin got to chair the DNC over Ben Wickler. David Hogg will bring some youth, and we've talked about that in the past, about how he wasn't necessarily our pick to be put in this position, but it's definitely a younger generation in that sort of leadership position. So we'll see what he can do. I hope he does well.
I hope so too. I mean, and at the, in the grand scheme of things, Ken can do a lot of things. I don't really know. I mean, I can't recall of a vice chair really having any major influence here.
Yeah.
I think it's good as a nod. I know that our former guest, Sahali, she was happy to have him on there.
And I think that's kind of what you're looking for. That's going to be the connection, maybe, that kind of mends that bridge a little bit. Not to say that there was any sort of problems there, but I think college Dems in particular felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect, and that might bring them together.
Yeah, they were really happy with the selections that we ended up getting. So hopefully we got that one wrong. I hope David proves us wrong. So
best of luck and more power to you, man. I hope you do it.
And you know what? I'll invite him on the show.
Sure.
I think he'd be a great guest now that he's in a position. We got to empower this. So maybe we can talk to Sahali and Sanjay and see if they want to. They can get him on.
That'd be great.
All right, let's go on to step 4. Grow a spine. When Republicans pull stunts like the funding freeze, haul them out with fire. People respect strength.
Yeah.
And I think that this goes a long way. I mean, that's one of the things people like about Trump, is that he does have that strength, right? Like the perceived strength. But we need to have actual strength. And I think we maybe started seeing it today, that they started really starting to come out on it. Brian Schatz said that he's not going to have it where he's going to confirm any Trump appointees until the funding freeze goes away. And then we saw, Andy Kim was at USAID and all that. So I think hopefully they're starting to get the fight there. And they got to take the gloves off, right?
Like you said,
we're in a knockout, drag out, bare knuckles fight, and the gloves got to come off, and we got to start laying some people the fuck out. Yeah.
I mean, Shots coming out, Kim coming out. He did well, standing on the steps. I think he's right outside the USAID office. Chris Murphy has been really good with this too. And like you said, you got to be strong. You got to be. You've got to show that you're here to fight. But they also have to do it quickly. There cannot be this, couple days delay, or if something is perceived in an emergency, we'll convene tomorrow at 4 p.m. to discuss it and figure out how. No, this needs to be quick. And we've talked about this. Other people on Twitter have talked about this. Your best messengers in the party, just let it ride. Don't worry about means testing the messaging or checking it or doing this and that. Get them on something to talk about it and explain why it's bad. If it's not 100% perfect, that's fucking okay. Like that's okay. If you need to come back and make a correction or whatever it is, but we've got to be quick. We've got to be rapid, and we've got to have our best messengers on it.
That's right.
All right. And step 5, our final step. Remember that you're supposed to be the party of hope. Inspire people. Don't just lecture them. I mean, I was the other day, I was looking back at Obama's, sort of speech that put him on the map from 2004 DNC, and then some of his campaign speeches. And I was like, I haven't felt that since that time, right, with any of our candidates. And not to say Joe Biden was a bad candidate, not to say Hillary Clinton was a bad candidate, anything like that. But there hasn't been that sense of hope. Both the candidates that followed Obama have sort of felt like, it almost felt like they thought they were owed this, right? To me, watching some Hillary Clinton speeches and watching some Joe Biden speeches, it was not so much about hope. It was more about, I have earned this, so give me the opportunity to go to work. And that's where I think there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah. I remember I was a Republican at the time that Obama gave that 2004 speech.
Same.
And I remember the day I was watching it at the house I was living with. I was living with two buddies. They were both Republicans. And when I heard him speak, I was like, you know what? That dude's going to be president someday.
Yeah.
Like, it was an instant recognizable moment.
Mm-hmm.
And if y'all have never seen the speech, I really encourage you, go back and watch it. It was amazing.
It's fantastic.
And when he did run, like I said, that he was the start in my process of getting the change over, because he really literally ran on hope and change. And after what we're seeing, I mean, we're literally like 2 weeks into this thing.
Yeah, I know.
we got a long way. And if it's like this every day, I'm going to be so tired.
Yeah, we're going to
when it comes to 2028. And we're going to need somebody that's going to energize us and offer us hope, because apparently a lot of shit's going to get broken.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of pieces that are going to need to be put back together. It better not be no fucking 70, 80-year-old that we put up here, because it needs to be somebody that's ready to get in, get their shit together, and start going to work right away, because I have a feeling, unfortunately, that the country's really going to need it.
Like you said, there's going to be a lot of repairing to do, a lot of repairing of people's trust in government, belief in government. Whoever it is, they have to recapture that same level of inspiration, of hope.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's that wonderful time of the week where we have our Jackass of the Week. And boy, do we have a buffet of stupidity to choose from.
We had RFK Jr., who basically turned his Senate confirmation hearing into an open mic night for conspiracy theories. Then there's Kash Patel, who brought big delusional middleman energy to his hearing for FBI director. And of course, Trump, for just being Trump on steroids this week.
So let's start with Kash Patel. First, he denied that he was ever supporting QAnon, but we've got him on record signing children's books with QAnon hashtags. Like, bro, this ain't CSI. We don't need it. It's not a fucking mystery. You literally autographed your own life.
And let's not forget his quote-unquote enemies list. Kash swears up and down that he doesn't have one, but then you crack open his book and there's a chapter titled 60 People I Hate and Want Fired. That's not an enemies list. That's a PowerPoint presentation of grudges.
And then they asked him to admit that Biden won the 2020 election. And his answer was basically, well, technically he's the president for now, I guess. Kash buddy, think twice if reality is holding you hostage.
Oh, shit. It's like asking someone if the sky is blue and they're like, well, it's not green. Just fucking say it, man.
Look, Cash brought the conspiracy vibes, the lies, and the denial of basic facts. But as bad as he was, this week's ultimate jackass has to be Trump.
Oh, absolutely. Trump didn't just win Jackass of the Week. He ran up the fucking score. First, we've got the funding freeze that shut down Medicaid portals and had schools scrambling. Then he blamed DEI programs for a military helicopter crash because obviously diversity training is why helicopters hit planes.
And let's not forget the executive order to destroy 10 rules for every new one. That's not governance. That's a government-wide game of whack-a-mole.
And finally, the tariffs. He's punishing red states by accident because he doesn't understand how trade works. Canada's over here like, hey, Michigan, say goodbye to your auto parts. And Ohio, hope you don't like cars or jobs. Genius strategy, man.
So congrats to you, Trump, the undisputed jackass of the week. It takes a special kind of incompetence to win just this week.
And a special shout out to Kash Patel for being a strong runner-up. Keep signing those QAnon hashtags, Cash. You're doing great.
You know, it was really rough this week trying to choose one, huh, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it almost feels like Trump could basically be the choice all the time, but there's been enough jackasses to kind of offset. This won't be the last Trump jackass of the week, that's for sure. But he was on a fucking speed run for jackass of the week this time.
Yeah, it was pretty undisputed. Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that really pisses me off the most was the helicopter accident and signing an executive order to blame it on DEI. Yeah. And then literally the very next day that was proven that it wasn't true.
Yeah.
It was all a bunch of white dudes except for like one chick that, you know, in the military helicopter. It's incredibly infuriating. I mean, how big of an asshole can you be?
It's, you know, when he made that comment when he was being asked, having no information on this, the investigation hadn't been done, saying, how do you know DEI played a role? Oh, because I have common sense, something that not a lot of people have. And it's just like, why do you want this to be that so badly? You don't need this to allow you to do whatever you want to do with DEI. All these companies are backing off DEI. Your whole fucking campaign ran about how Kamala Harris was a DEI candidate. You've made your fucking case. What did you get out of this? Out of trying to call this DEI before you had any information? What did you get from it? I mean, what is the point? You're elected. You're the president. Do what the fuck you want with DEI. What did this get you?
And then not only that, but his supporters have been going over, you know, the family took a long time to confirm that the one lady had died. Mm-hmm. And then they immediately started combing through her social media, trying to find anything, even calling her a lesbian just because she had a picture with another girl. Like,
yeah,
it's incredibly gross. Like,
it's dangerous.
What the fuck? Where did decency go?
Yeah.
Like, how is this okay? And how is anybody literally okay with any of this?
Yeah.
Because I am not.
No.
I've tried to have to distance myself a lot from social media and and everything because I can't read it for 5 minutes without getting insanely pissed off at just the shit that's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, we went from being where we didn't have to pay attention to the news every day to we're now back to having to pay attention every 5 minutes or else. I mean, I trying to prepare for this show just this week, like there's so much bullshit that we can't even figure out how to put it all into a show.
No.
Like you and I have literally had conversations back and forth where it's like, what the fuck are we going to talk about? There's too much shit.
Just pick one of these or we're going to have a fucking 3-hour episode. I mean, we could literally have Jackass Politics 24-hour news with all the shit that's going on right now. And I mean, like you said, so like I was Sunday before this episode comes out, I was sick all day, and I wasn't on Twitter, I wasn't reading all that stuff, and then I started to feel a little better and logged in that night, and I was like, what the hell? I mean, I missed a week's worth of news in like 8 hours.
Yeah, because y'all probably noticed we had a little bit of a gap between when we put out our last show. Ian and I literally about felt like I was dying. Last weekend was my birthday. I went home on Friday from work, fell asleep, and then basically woke up to take medicine and use the restroom and try to eat something.
Yeah.
And that was it. Yeah. I've never been sick like that. And now it sounds like you have the same thing.
Yeah.
Tara, that was a guest a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And we're getting ready to have a short with her coming out. She also had the same thing. I don't know what's going around, but something.
It's bad.
You probably look. I don't still feel 100%, and that was over a week ago.
No, it took me a lot of Gatorade and Tylenol to get on this episode today.
Yeah, we're giving you the award for the week, man. I appreciate you soldiering on. So
yeah, there's a lot of shit to talk about. I couldn't miss it again. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It looks like we're gonna have.
Speaking of shit to talk about, we got a Super Bowl coming up this weekend, Ian. Who you got? I'm gonna take the Eagles. Against my better judgment, I'm gonna take the Eagles. I think if they can run the ball the way that they've been running the ball, and their defense can play the way they've been playing, I don't think you're gonna have a situation in the Super Bowl like you've had with some of the other games with the so obviously incorrect calls going a certain team's way. I'm taking the Eagles in a relatively close one. I'll say something like 31-24. I just want a good game, and I'll watch the commercials.
Yeah, right.
Which they're charging something. I think I read they're charging something like $3 million per commercial this year.
Oof.
That's just insane. Like, how do these companies have the advertising budget to do any of this? That just blows my mind.
I remember when it was a big deal that the commercials hit like $1 million. I mean, this was way back when I was a kid, but it was such a huge deal. I was like, oh shit, now we're at 3 million. Good God.
Yeah. So if I have to pick, I don't see. I think Kansas City they're going for the 3P. I don't see anybody stop. I mean, Washington, I thought was going to do well against or Buffalo. Sorry, thought was going to do well against them. They tried to make it a game. It just I didn't feel like they really were. I mean, they kind of had a chance there at the end.
Yeah,
that random ghost flag that the announcers were talking about was highly suspicious.
Yeah, that was strange.
Not a good look.
And I'm pretty sure on literally 2 of those previous plays earlier in the fourth quarter, they got a first down both times. And, was it fine margins? Sure, I agree, but it seemed pretty clear to me.
You really think that the Eagles are going to be able to run against the Chiefs, though? I mean, that defense has looked really stout lately.
Yeah, it has. I don't think it's going to be like one of those things where Saquon Barkley's just busting out at 6, 7, 8 yards a clip or anything like that. I think you're going to have 2, 3, 4, and then bam, maybe like 50-yard run to just kind of break it open and help him out. Because he has that. He just give him one chance and Saquon's going to find it. I mean, it's very rare that he doesn't break at least one. So, I maybe it's wishful thinking too, but I hope and think that they'll have a good shot. I think it'll be a good game for sure. I think it'll be close.
Like I said, I do want it to be a good game. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's just going to be. I hope I'm wrong. I think the Chiefs are just going to floor it. Please let me be wrong.
Yeah,
I want a good game so bad.
So, question: If the Chiefs win, Patrick Mahomes gets his 4th Super Bowl, 3rd in a row. How seriously do you have to start having the conversation between him and Tom Brady?
And Brady's got 7, right? I mean,
6?
Thought it was 7.
7?
We should know it. I think we got to go for our 3rd look up here.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's see here. How many rings?
I know he can't
Tom
fit them
Brady.
on one hand. So, yeah, 7 times Super Bowl. One,
7.
two, three,
Yes.
four. Okay. Tom Brady also went 9 years between Super Bowl wins at one point, which is just a testament to him and his longevity. Like, that's crazy to have
I don't
seven
know if
Super Bowls
Pat
and
can
have
play into
almost
his
a
40s though.
yeah. No, I don't think he will. If he wins this year and he wins another one within the next 2 or 3 years or so, I think he'll keep playing as long as he can to try to get there.
I think he wants to at least tie the record.
Yeah.
Um, and
But the one thing that I've heard brought up as kind of an argument against Patrick Mahomes, and you can tell me if you think this is a sound argument, but like Tom Brady faced kind of a litany of Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks in his career, regularly beating Peyton Manning. He also had, obviously not in his conference, but you had Drew Brees around the same time. Like, you had a lot of really good quarterbacks coming up when Tom Brady was at his peak. Right now, who's the biggest challenger to Mahomes? I mean, it seems like it's either Lamar or Josh Allen, and they kind of underachieve every year. So, like, is there
they get to the
somebody?
playoffs and just drop. Which I mean, Lamar really wasn't on Lamar this time. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, Andrews
Yeah.
really
I mean,
screwed.
that's he also Lamar did also have a couple first half turnovers that were pretty
He did.
bad that put him
He
in a
did.
little bit of a hole. So he does bear some responsibility, but he also got him back to the point where, hey, if you just catch a really fucking easy pass, we're not having this conversation right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know because that was the tie though, right?
Yes.
So we
I
still
mean,
maybe having that
but I
conversation,
mean, he
but
still could have lost, sure.
yeah. But I don't know, man. It's I remember watching the early Brady day. Like I was literally at a Hooters watching the game where he had the was it the tuck rule or whatever they call it.
Oh yeah, against Oakland.
So yeah,
In the
so
snow.
I mean I remember watching, and my buddy that I was living with for a couple years at that time, he was a really big Peyton Manning fan because he was
Yeah.
from Indianapolis.
Mhm.
So, the caliber of QBs at that time was literally insane, and I think we
That
got a
was
little
good.
spoiled.
Yeah,
I mean, we got some good QBs now,
we
but
do. Yeah.
I just for some reason, I guess maybe to me, and it could be age or something, I don't know, maybe nostalgia, but it doesn't feel like it was of the caliber of those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we being Panthers fans hated playing Drew Brees. Like you knew
Oh
that
yeah.
dude was lights out
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we have that right now but somebody besides a Mahomes, which we almost beat Mahomes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, back in the early Tom Brady days, obviously he beat the Panthers for his second Super Bowl. I remember that one pretty closely. His first Super Bowl, yeah, he technically beat the greatest show on turf with the Rams. He himself didn't do very much. Super Bowl against the Panthers, he played quite well. He had
His defense won him quite a few of those
they
rings
did
too.
early on in particular, and even one of his late ones with the Patriots. I think was it against the Rams where they won like what was it 13-10 or something like that,
Something boring.
13-3, yeah, something crazy, yeah, something
But then he
ridiculous.
also did have the one against Atlanta,
Yeah, he
the
had the
greatest one.
comeback, and it was there was some stat I think before in his last year at New England, some stat that he hadn't completed a pass for a touchdown in a Super Bowl that was over 20 yards. And I'm like, what? How is that even possible, man? Like, how the hell is that possible?
Yeah.
And it was like his last 4 Super Bowls or something like that. And, he obviously had the two that he lost to Eli, where he didn't play particularly well. They didn't score many points. They had that record-setting undefeated offense and got beat by Eli Manning. So he got there so freaking much, right?
Yeah.
He just,
He did.
I mean, just 10 Super Bowl appearances. Is that it? So he's like 7-3 in Super Bowls or something. I mean,
Unreal.
crazy.
Unreal. So way too early draft prediction. Who's going to be the number one overall draft pick in your mind?
Man, it's hard for me. So I'm gonna predict that someone has some sense finally and doesn't take a quarterback first overall. I think Abdul Carter has an insane combine, and you just can't ignore how good of a player he is, and he goes first
Hope
overall.
you're so wrong. As a Panthers fan, I hope you are so wrong.
Yeah.
I want every one of these QBs that
Yeah.
they're hyping right now to go 1 through 7.
When
That's
you're
what I
talking
want.
about Jackson Dart possibly being the, and nothing against Jackson Dart, he's a good quarterback, but possibly being the second best quarterback or maybe a top 5 pick, people might start reaching for quarterbacks. That's insane to me. Like, I grade Jackson Dart as maybe a late first rounder, probably early second rounder, and they're talking about possibly in the top 5.
But they're doing that because from my perspective of what I've read on it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because he had that one good game against Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
And so they're going back and looking for any, like, hey, Jaden Daniels was great, but look at this guy that actually did good against. I mean, not like Jaden was out there playing defense against him,
right.
but
And that's like that LSU team, everybody looked good against them. They averaged like 30 points against per game. And you look, so obviously I'm a Florida Gators fan. I got my graduate degree from the University of Florida. We beat Ole Miss this year, which was Jackson Dart. But if you look at the end of that game, the dude just looked absolutely hell bent on losing that game. Like, he threw an interception, got called back for a penalty, threw an interception, got called back on a penalty, and then threw 3 straight passing attempts he threw an interception on with plenty of time to go. And I was like, you want to lose this, don't you?
So what about final thoughts here for the week on sports? Cam Ward, what are your raw thoughts on him? Where does he go?
I think he's a top 10 pick. I think he's almost guaranteed to be a top 10 pick. For me, I think he's probably the best quarterback in the class. I shouldn't say the best, the most likely to pan out, the least risk involved in one of the quarterbacks. I think you know exactly what you get with Cam Ward. I don't think he's got good arm strength. His accuracy is good enough. I think he's a top 10 pick. Almost for
Who
sure.
drafts him?
What's that?
Who do you think drafts him?
I don't know. I'll have to kind of check some combines, because while I do like him as my easy, like, best pick quarterback right now, I want to watch Shadur Sanders and what he does at the combine and how he behaves kind of in the off season and how Dion treats him, and if he has a list of teams that he's not going to play for. Because let's see, let's see if I can pull up a tweet real quick. No, I can't find it. Somebody was suggesting that Dion might have him on a no. Wouldn't play
they
for, like,
they had like a list
Browns.
of teams that he couldn't. Yeah, the Browns was one of them.
Yeah, I think maybe not that they need him, but Jacksonville was one on there. So there's a couple. I mean, to me,
Jacksonville was never picking him.
no, they might need a quarterback. I mean, I know they've invested a lot in Trevor Lawrence, but at this point, he should be better than he is. I mean, to me, he's not panned out to be quite the franchise quarterback that I think they hoped. He's not bad, but he should be doing kind of better than.
I mean, who's his number one? Kirk?
What's that?
Who's his number one down there? Kirk? The guy that Balky spent, like, paying him $15 million a year.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player.
I mean, but he's not a number one. He's not $15 million a year number one.
Yeah,
like, if the Panthers did that, I'd been absolutely incensed.
I mean, the wide receiver market now is just kind of crazy. Let's see. They've got a decent tight end set up. Obviously, good running backs there.
But that's the thing. I think they need to get him some true drafted.
Yeah, I mean, they got Brian Thompson Jr. his rookie year. I think I'm trying to pull up his. Yeah, he caught for almost 1,300 yards this year, 10 touchdowns. He's only 22, so he's got.
Trevor was hurt this year too, right?
Yeah, after that terrible concussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're in the market for a QB.
They're not right now. I'll 100% agree with you. They're not right now. I think they will be in a couple of years. And nothing against Trevor Lawrence at all. I don't think I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I think the expectation was just that he would be more than he has been.
Yeah, I get you. All right. Well, that does it for this episode. If you had as much fun as we did, don't forget to like, share, and comment. It helps more people find the show, and honestly, we love hearing from you.
Yep. Hit us up on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, you name it. Follow, share the clips, and roast us in the comments if you want. Just make sure to tell your friends about Jackass Politics.
And if you're feeling extra generous, drop us a review wherever you're listening. With that, keep your heads up, your facts straight, and your politicians accountable. See you next time.
Later, guys.
See you.